Hi everyone, welcome back. It's episode number 54 of this talk show, Tommy Maroon Sports Show, right here, WCTV. Great place to be, of course. Today, this time will not be 3 topics, but rather 2, because one of them is going to be a big one. That's right, we have NASCAR and the MLB preview. Of course, a lot of great stuff to talk about today, so let's get right into it. All right, first things first is NASCAR. That's right, NASCAR had 2 races in the last within the last time we talked. Well, 3 if you count the All-Star Open, which was in Bristol. And, of course, remember last week, I talked about how the All-Star race was going to be last week. But here it is. The All-Star Open came first. Derek Almirola won Stage 1. William Byron won Stage 2. Both racers advanced to the All-Star stage. And the stages were short for the upcoming All-Star race, which was just a little while later. Of course, there were 4 vacant spots at the beginning for the race. 2 of them won, or of course, Almirola and Byron. And then I forget who was the other one. I believe Clint Boyer won the not most popular driver, but won the fan vote. So that's what happened out there for the All-Star race, which was in Bristol and was the biggest crowd ever in sports since this pandemic and lockdown stuff all began, with 30,000 packing the last great Coliseum in Bristol, Tennessee. That's right, as they were all ready for a big race. 30,000 fans were all excited, and why not? And they got to see Chase Elliott win, and he won $1 million. It does not count for the NASCAR Cup Series, does not count for any points, but it does help out his cause as he ended up winning $1 million. That is crazy. Of course, he is one of the most popular drivers in all of NASCAR. Ryan Blaney, however, took home Stage 1, and the race was divided into 4 stages instead of 3. And there was 140 laps, meaning that the race was just 75 miles. Of course, in any other racetrack, that would be about 50 laps. Of course, something new on the cars was that there were different colored lights below the tail, of course. This was Elliott's very first All-Star victory, and this did not count for playoff points, but definitely a lot of bragging rights, and fans definitely got a good short track race. Now, for those that don't know, the All-Star race is usually held at the famed Charlotte Motor Speedway, but because of all the rescheduling due to NASCAR taking an 8-week break, I believe, it was eventually all rescheduled. Of course, Charlotte did get to hold 2 races, and they still got the Coca-Cola 600 going. But however, the All-Star race went to Bristol. And of course, after that, they went from Tennessee to Texas for the O'Reilly Auto Parts 500 at the Texas Motor Speedway, where Austin Dillon won the race. That's right, Austin Dillon, for what was his first win of the season and his 3rd win of his career. The other 2 wins he had, first one was in Charlotte for the Coca-Cola 600, and the other one was, of course, the 2018 Daytona 500. So he's won 2 of the most iconic races out there. And then this one in Texas, where about 20,000 fans came up. Of course, for NASCAR, it's definitely easier for fans to come because, of course, the raceways are big. They can hold over 100,000. I mean, even if they only take about a 10th or a 5th of what they usually have, it's still a decent sized crowd. Of course, 20,000 were there to watch the race, and there was a lot of cheering and a lot of excitement there for sure. And of course, Ryan Blaney won stages 1, 2. Ryan Blaney's been having a great season so far in NASCAR for sure. And Denny Hamlin, that's right, Denny Hamlin, who has been battling Kevin Harvick all season long, got involved in 2 wrecks late in the race, and it cost him the race, and was very disappointing for him. I mean, he could have won his 5th win of the season, but unfortunately that wreck had to happen, and it just did not end up well at all. And Austin Dillon, who won, it came about a month after his son Ace was born. So yes, his little kid was cheering him on. His 1-month-old son was definitely very happy about that. You can definitely guarantee that. And Ryan Blaney won the most laps that race. Now, of course, Austin Dillon comes from a good family out there. There's the final lap. Austin Dillon just had a huge lead over everyone else and took home that checkered flag. Of course, very emotional for him with his son being born. Just something great for him. And of course, his grandfather is Richard Childress. You know, the Richard Childress that owns a lot of the cars. Richard Childress was on the radio with Austin Dillon, congratulating him. And yep, it was definitely a big one for Austin. And of course, now time to look at the playoff standings. That's right, the playoff standings. 10 racers have won at least one race this season, so that means they're guaranteed a spot in the postseason. Last year's champion Kyle Busch has not won yet, but he is still in the playoff picture just barely. William Byron is 51 points behind Matthew DiBenedetto for the last playoff spot. Rookie Tyler Reddick also in the playoff hunt. Of course, Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin are up there. The only rookie I believe so far that is in it is Cole Custer. Remember, Cole Custer won at Kentucky. And of course, remember, as I said, if you win a race in the NASCAR Cup Series, you automatically are going to the playoffs. Of course, remember now it's the playoffs. And of course, just a lot of excitement out of there. And now it's time for the MLB season preview. That's right, the 2020 season. Rather than 162 games, it will be just 60 games. And it's going to be a good one this year, hopefully. My division winners in the American League East, the New York Yankees. In the American League Central, the Cleveland Indians. In the West, you have the Oakland A's. The East, Atlanta. And now Central, Milwaukee. And the West, of course, those Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, time for your playoff predictions, of course. Let's look at that. In the American League wild card, I have Tampa beating Minnesota. Remember, Minnesota has not won a playoff game since 2004 when Johan Santana won the Cy Young that year, was on the hill. They lost the next 3 games to the Yankees that postseason. In the NL wild card, I have St. Louis taking down Washington in that wild card. And then in the American League Divisional Series, Cleveland's star pitching is going to take down the Tampa Bay Rays, while the Yankees are going to beat Oakland. Of course, Oakland has had a lot of woes in the postseason within the last 20 years. Of course, 2000 lost to the Yankees, 2001 Yankees again, 2002 Minnesota, 2003 Boston, 2006 Detroit, the ALCS, Detroit again, 2012 and 13. 2014 was an epic and crazy wild card game against Kansas City. 2018 was against New York, a loss. 2019 against Tampa, a loss. So we'll see. Maybe they'll get rid of that poor fate they have in the postseason, but I don't know. NLDS, I have the Los Angeles Dodgers taking down the St. Louis Cardinals. And the Milwaukee Brewers downing the Atlanta Braves. Remember, Atlanta's not won a postseason series since 2001. Back when they were playing the Sign Stealers, that's right, Houston. Except Houston didn't steal signs back then. In the ALCS, I unfortunately do not think we're going to win. I think our pitching is going to run into that big hitting of Judge and Stanton and the New York Yankees. And in the NLCS, Milwaukee's going to be Los Angeles. Of course, Dave Roberts had the Los Angeles Dodgers have so much trouble in the postseason. Of course, admittingly in 2017, the other team was cheating. And in 2018, they were also cheating. But 2019, they had it, but didn't bring it home. And of course, again, Los Angeles did win the 2017 World Series, even though they'll forever say that the Sign Stealers won it. Oh, I'm sorry, folks. I'm just being Houston. Anyways, time for the award predictions. In the American League, Mike Trout's winning. The National League, it'll be Christian Yelich. In the American League Cy Young, I got good old Shane Bieber. That's right. Bieber Fever will win the Cy Young this year, hopefully. Remember, he took the MLB by storm last year. If you remember 2018, we were all looking at Shane and being like, yo, he's a good pitcher. And then he had that big breakout in the All-Star game. Cy Young finalist last year. This year, I'm saying he's taking it home. In the National League, I have Walker Buehler. That's right, Walker Buehler for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now that Hyun-Jin Ryu is in Toronto, he and Clayton Kershaw will be co-aces. Perhaps the best co-aces we have had since the 2001 Diamondbacks with Kurt Schilling and Randy Johnson. And for the AL Rookie of the Year, I have to go with Joe Adell from Los Angeles. NL Rookie of the Year, look out for Dylan Carlson of the St. Louis Cardinals. And for the AL Manager of the Year, Bob Melvin of Oakland. And the NL Manager of the Year, Craig Counsell for the Brewers. Big division matchups and just big matchups, period, I should say. I messed that up, of course, because you'll see interleague play. Anyways, New York against Tampa, that's going to be big. Cleveland against Minnesota, I can't wait for that. And that's definitely going to determine who wins the division. Atlanta against Washington, of course. Atlanta against Washington. The Braves are a great team. Nationals looking to be the first team in over 20 years to repeat as world champions. St. Louis against Milwaukee. I mean, these teams have been rivals for a long time, and now these two can definitely be the face of the division, the NL Central, to be exact. Now, for interleague play, which is both St. Louis and Milwaukee, you have the Yankees and the Braves, of course. That could be a World Series matchup. Same with Minnesota and Milwaukee, and same with Oakland and the Dodgers. The Dodgers are, of course, one of the best teams in the whole league. And, of course, if you go below that rookie/prospect watch, the Dodgers have a lot. That's right, Gavin Lux is a good Dodgers prospect. So is Luke Raley. I didn't mention him, but he's from Highland, folks, and he might make it up to the MLB this year. I don't know about you, but look out for Luke. He's definitely going to make some noise out there. And for a team as talented as the Dodgers, he definitely is going to play a major role in that. And, of course, you can't forget about the rookies of the year that I mentioned, Joe Adell and Dylan Carlson. Nate Pearson, a good pitcher for Toronto. Wander Franco for Tampa. Mackenzie Gore is another good pitcher for the Padres. And Luis Robert of the Chicago White Sox. The White Sox are a very promising team, and they can be a postseason team this year. Of course, it's a 60-game season, so you just never know. So if you're a fantasy baseball guy, I know fantasy baseball isn't as popular as fantasy football, but hey, here's a good fantasy team for you. Is Monty Grandal perhaps catching, Cody Bellinger at first, DJ LeMahieu at second, Nolan Arenado is at third, good old Francisco Lindor being your shortstop, Yelich, Trout, and Acuna in the outfield. Of course, Acuna, unfortunately, will probably not be in the 40-40 club, but it'll definitely be in the 20-20 club, 20 home runs and 20 stolen bases. Mookie is a good utility man. There are 5 starting pitchers, Walker Buehler, and good old Clev, and Shane, and Garrett Cole, and Max Scherzer aren't bad either. And for your relievers, Josh Hader of the Brewers, Kirby Yates of the Padres, and Brad Hand of the Cleveland Indians. The Indians probably have the deadliest pitching staff in all of baseball. So, what do I think about this season? Do I think we're going to get through the whole thing? I am really unsure of. I really don't know. I'm holding my breath on it. I know it's just 60 games. I know you can social distance yourself from others. But in the game of baseball, it's not really that easy. I mean, compared to NASCAR, it's not really that easy. So I don't know. I mean, if we can get past 20, 30 games without any stoppage, I think we might be good. If we get past 50 games, I think we should be good. of course, there's that fear of the virus spiking, players getting it. I mean, you never know. We saw that the NHL and MLB, or not NHL and MLB, but the NHL and NBA test players, their whole players, and only 2 people tested positive there. So that might be a little positive, but I don't trust it until everything is good. Now, hopefully these guys can stay safe, be smart, and of course wear masks and stuff. I'm nervous. I really don't know if this whole season is going to happen. I don't know if this is too good to be true. Hopefully things are going to get better, but right now I'm not really sure about it. Kind of doubting it, but you never know. So that's it for today. Of course, next week we're going to look at the NBA coming back. Everybody's excited for it. Unfortunately, the Cavs won't be in it. But don't worry, there's still a lot of excitement out there. You got teams like Los Angeles and Milwaukee, who are the 2 heavyweight favorites this year for the NBA Finals. We'll get to that next week. And, of course, coming up soon will be high school football previewing. Now, do I think we'll have high school football? Once again, I'm unsure, and most likely not. But you just never know, of course. I know it might be because I usually think of the worst case scenarios, and probably because I'm kind of pessimistic. But hey, maybe it'll happen. You just never know. So if you want a season, why don't you wear a mask? Because when we're all doing our part, life's going to get back to normal soon. And when life gets back to normal soon, we can have sports again. And that will be good. And if we wear masks, we won't have to wear them in about a year from now if we can continue to do it and continue to be smart. So if you want sports and if you want life to get back to normal, please wear a mask. Until then, this is Tommy Maroon saying goodbye, and please wear a mask and keep your 6 feet away. Goodbye, folks.